Have you recently heard about the excitement with owning silver? How the price has been increasing all year? Or maybe how silver was the fastest growing asset in 2025 and wondered, how do I actually buy silver? Well, you're in luck. In this video, I'm going to discuss exactly how you can buy physical silver. I'll also share some pros and cons from each way that you can purchase. Thanks for tuning in. If this video helps you in any way, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Number one easiest way to purchase physical silver is through trusted online bullion dealers. Online bullion dealers offer a very large selection. This is something that you can easily shop around, find the best deals. You can go in between all the different sites and find exactly what you're looking for. Use the search bars to your advantage to find the items that you need. These are pretty well trusted dealers in the community. They've been around for a long time, and obviously they don't want to lose their reputation or business by selling potentially fake metals or having bad customer service. They are extremely easy to compare prices with each other. I typically just go to the deals section on all of these sites and I look through and I see what is the best price per ounce comparable to the spot pricing. And I typically order from whoever has the best lowest price on everything that I'm purchasing. Remember, when you're dealing with overall total price per ounce, you have to factor in potentials for things like taxes, fees, or additional shipping costs. So make sure that when you're looking at your grand total in your checkout page, that your price per ounce is the best deal that you can find. Another one of the pros you may or may not ever need is the fact that they do have a dedicated customer support staff. You can email in inquiries or questions. You can call in and get support and check on the status of your orders. Most online dealers offer free shipping with a minimum purchase. That purchase price typically is around $200, which is really easy to do in this kind of day and age and market. If you do decide to go this route through the online trusted bullion dealers, I would highly recommend that you set your payment type to ACH or e-check so that you get zero transaction costs, and then verifying that you've ordered enough to receive free shipping. This is the best way to maximize your return from purchasing metals on an online dealer. The next way you can purchase precious metals and silver is by going to what we call local coin shops. The easiest way, obviously, is to hop onto a Google search and say something along the lines of local coin shops near me or gold and silver dealers near me, something along those lines, and you should get a list of sites. What you're going to want to look for, and I'll show you some images of what a, quote unquote, good coin shop will look like, is you want to see images that contain a lot of bars and rounds. So shiny silver and gold bars and rounds. You want to see some what we call constitutional coins, which are US minted coins pre-1964 that have silver content in them. You want to see graded slabs of coins. What these images indicate is that this is an actual coin shop dealer that buys and sells in the precious metals and lists those items for sale on display. Sometimes you'll find something like a pawn shop or a jewelry store, which primarily just buys precious metals. And then I have personally found that those tend to have higher markups when you go in there to try to buy from them. So I typically try to stick to just the dedicated stores to coins and bullion for the metals that I'm shopping for. Some of the pros with this type of store is that you can see and hold your silver in your hand before you buy it. Sometimes things catch your eye and you just decide, hey, this is the piece that I want to buy. And you can always kind of discuss the pricing with the person behind the counter. They may or may not be able to have a little bit of wiggle room for you, but typically if you're buying in bulk or you're buying a large quantity, they'll kind of come down on the price and kind of work with you. There's normally fairly competitive pricing, especially if you're doing your online shopping before you go to your local coin shop and you kind of know what your online dealers are providing and what price points they're at per ounce. You can take that into your coin shop and just see how they compare. They may not always be able to meet the exact, special deal that you find online, but oftentimes I have found they are extremely competitive pricing, very close. And if I typically go in and I ask, hey, do you have anything that you're selling for a round melt price or a round spot price? They'll normally pull out something that they've had in their case for a long time. And I can decide whether or not I want to buy that because I'm not too partial to one type of coin or round or bar or another. Another good pro is that they are a good place to actually sell your metals in the future if you need to sell some silver or gold. You can go in there typically and you'll get, again, a little bit probably back from spot, meaning you'll get a little bit less than the spot price per ounce, but that's to be expected because they are a business and they have to work on a margin. So they typically will buy for a little less and sell for a little more or close to spot. That's just how the game works. But if you've formed those relationships, which is another pro, you can form a personal relationship with the shop owner or the shop employees and work on that. And that will make it an easier place for you to buy and sell in the future. The next place to buy precious metals is a pretty obvious one, but it's online auction sites such as eBay. Inherently, a lot of people have a distrust of buying from these types of sites. And I think having a good sense of skepticism and cynicism and protecting yourself is part of your plan here. There are reputable dealers that deal on eBay. I will show you some examples of kind of what you should be looking for a dealer or a person to buy from. And I'll show you an example of what you're looking for to not buy from. If it's too good to be true, chances are, if it's way under spot price, that it is some sort of international fake. And I'm not trying to dissuade you from shopping on these sites. I just want you to be aware of it, that you need to do some due diligence. And I would recommend, until you get more experienced in purchasing precious metals, particularly silver, you start ordering from the higher reputable dealers, the ones that are certified or verified by eBay, the ones that have hundreds, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of transactions and reviews. Oftentimes, even online dealers will also sell on eBay, and you will see their dealer logos and things in their listings. So that is the best way to kind of protect yourself. Now, let's talk about some pros and cons of these online auction sites. Similar to the online dealers, a number one pro is that you have a near unlimited selection of diversity of coins, bars, rounds to search and buy. That could be overwhelming for some people, but if you do figure out what you kind of want to purchase, you can narrow it down and you'll have a lot of options to shop and find the best deal for you, or possibly even win a really great deal on an auction. Other pros is that if you do actually establish your own store and you start and you continue to sell on it, you could actually use this as a place to sell your precious metals in the future. Now, obviously, eBay takes a fee and then you have to pay for shipping. And then, of course, you have the potential for someone claiming that they never received the item or that it's incorrect. Yes, there are obviously risks at it. I would probably recommend that you just sell to your local coin shop after you've established a relationship there, but it is an option and it is a good market to be able to list items and get some good value from the items there. Cons obviously are the fact that you probably need to have a little bit more experience with precious metals to kind of know what you're looking for so you don't get overwhelmed. You have to have a targeted plan. You probably need to have an understanding of market prices and spot prices and what things are going for. Some items you might even drift accidentally into the numismatic graded coins, and you might not understand why things are selling for so much more. Don't be tempted to buy high premium stuff. Try to stick with your first 50 ounces or so to closer to items that will be easier to buy and sell for around spot. That's your generic bars and rounds and stuff like that. Another con is obviously the potential to be scammed on the buyer or the seller side. So you really need to do some due diligence, make sure you're buying from reputable dealers, and take your time, be patient. Don't jump onto too good to be true type of deals. The next two that I'm going to discuss are actually going to be for a little bit more experienced buyers, but obviously if you're watching this, you might be a new buyer that's going to become an experienced buyer over time. So I encourage you to kind of pay attention to these next two. Next up, we have local coin shows. This is basically your local coin shop, but on steroids, right? There might be 80 or 200 or 300 tables, which are all representing their own local coin shop at a coin show. They travel from state to state and they put up all these, great displays of all of their coins and valuables and precious metals. This is a really great way to get in there and meet other people and network about coins and bullion and silver and gold and just have fun shopping. It's kind of like going to a thrift event or going to whatever, other hobby you may be in, any kind of convention or something like that, where you get to kind of enjoy and meet and see new things that you probably haven't seen before. Obviously, you get to touch and hold and look at in the physical form all these things that you can probably find on eBay, but now you get to see them in person. It's actually really a lot of fun. Definitely recommend that you bring cash to these things so that you can get the best deal possible. Oftentimes, you'll find that any of these types of dealers, if you purchase with, say, a credit card, you're going to be charged a little bit more of a fee, which is going to push you out of that affordability or practicality range for a lot of the things that you're going to be buying. So I highly recommend you bring cash to these events. Other pros of this, again, are just the fact that you can wheel and deal. You can maybe 5 stores that are set up at the show have the same coin. Well, you can go back and forth and try to find out who could offer you the best deal. Maybe you can do a bundled deal with other items like some silver and some gold or something. It's a great way, again, to shop around and leverage and negotiate and just have fun in the hobby of precious metals. Some of the cons could be that you have to typically travel to these. They may not be convenient to you, so you have to kind of schedule a good part of your day to go to them. Obviously, another con is that you are going to be walking around carrying a bunch of cash and a bunch of metals for a while you're there. They are typically very secure with a police officer force. Obviously, a lot of the dealers themselves are protecting themselves and their wealth. So you have a lot of protection around you if you don't have the ability to bring your own. Obviously, anytime you have to carry wads of cash, that is something that I think makes people mostly uncomfortable to be around. But really, other than that, there's not too many cons to this. I think coin shows are a great way to get involved with the hobby, see really cool things, and find some really great deals and some unique stuff that you wouldn't find anywhere else or you wouldn't even think to look for. And finally, probably the most sophisticated way to shop for experienced buyers for precious metals and gold and silver is through peer-to-peer online sites. This is typically where I think you can find some of the best deals per ounce out there for gold and silver. There are a little bit more risks, right? Because you're dealing with another human being. There's no real eBay backing you, buyer protection, right? There's no guarantees. There's a lot of a trust factor. So if you are dealing with peer-to-peer, it is typically recommended that you deal with people that have a lot of experience or backed and supported by other members of the community or people that you've seen making transactions and that have a lot of what we call feedback, where you can say whether or not the transaction was good or bad with a certain person's username. But again, a lot of this is an anonymous type thing where you just have peer-to-peer, username to username, doing transactions, and you're transferring money typically through PayPal or Zelle or Venmo or some kind of ACH wire transfer, something like that. And that involves a little bit level of trust. And over time, if you use these things, you can build, again, a really cool network of people that you trust to do deals with, and you can kind of trade, go back and forth that way as well. So there are a lot of benefits, but this definitely is, I would put it as the most risky. You need to take your time, maybe even consider using a middleman to get some guarantees or some validation in that, but be very, very diligent, careful. But ultimately, once you get really sophisticated and you're looking for very specific things, this is probably the best route to go to get good deals on really hard to find things. That's really it. I hope you found a lot of value out of this video. If you are wondering, what should you be buying for your, say, first 50 ounces of silver that you're trying to get? Check out this video right here. And I think you could find some really, really good things to go out there and shop for that are going to be lower cost, lower premium over spot, kind of generic rounds and such that will help you get your start in collecting and owning and preserving your wealth through silver. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the next video.